In the silent, air-conditioned corridors of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Singapore, there is a screen that most of the world never sees. It isn't a map of trade routes or a ticker of stock prices. It is a digital pulse, a live, glowing constellation of every Singaporean citizen currently outside the borders of the little red dot. For most of the year, it is a quiet map of vacations and business trips. But in February 2026, as the geopolitical floor dropped out of the Middle East, that map began to pulse with a terrifying urgency. While the rest of the world was looking at the headlines of blockades and falling missiles, the engineers in Singapore were looking at something else: the survival of their people. This is the story of how a small island nation with no strategic depth and no hinterland managed to execute an evacuation so precise and so technologically advanced that it left the world's superpowers asking for the manual. It is a story about the intersection of cold, hard data and a fierce, uncompromising commitment to the idea that no Singaporean is ever truly alone, no matter how far they wander. To understand the scale of the 2026 Middle East rescue, you first have to understand the nightmare scenario that unfolded. Imagine you are a Singaporean exchange student in a small city on the border of Jordan. Suddenly, the sky turns red with the glow of anti-aircraft fire. Your phone loses its 5G connection. The local news stations go dark. You head to the airport, only to find thousands of desperate people screaming at closed counters. Every commercial flight is canceled. Every border is locked. The most powerful passports in the world are suddenly just pieces of paper in a zone where the only thing that matters is a seat on a plane that isn't coming. This was the reality for thousands of foreigners caught in the 2026 blockade. But while other nations were sending out generic "stay safe" emails and telling their citizens to hunker down, Singapore was already moving. They weren't just sending planes. They were activating a digital shield that had been under construction for over a decade.
This shield is known as the e-register system, but by 2026, it had become something much more than a simple registration portal. In the old world of diplomacy, a rescue mission began with a phone call to an embassy. But in a war zone, phone lines are the first to go. Singapore realized that waiting for a call was a strategy for failure. Instead, they integrated their MFA systems directly into the global telecommunications backbone. They didn't need you to call them. They already knew where you were. Through deep signal roaming data and encrypted handshakes with international cell towers, the Singaporean government could see the digital footprint of its citizens even when the local internet was severed. This wasn't just tracking. It was a digital lifeline. If you were a Singaporean in that war zone, your phone became a beacon. The precision was staggering. The MFA didn't just know you were in Jordan. They knew which street you were on. They could see if you were moving toward a danger zone or if you were stationary in a basement. This allowed for a level of communication that felt like science fiction. While other travelers were refreshing empty websites, Singaporeans were receiving surgical, tactical SMS directives. These messages bypassed the congested public networks, delivered via dedicated satellite-linked channels that the Singaporean government had secured through years of quiet infrastructure investment. The instructions were cold, clear, and life-saving. Move to the northern checkpoint in 45 minutes. A bus with a Singapore flag is 2 kilometers from your location. Do not bring luggage. Bring only your passport. By creating this information gap, where Singaporeans knew exactly what to do while everyone else was in a panic, the government turned a chaotic retreat into a disciplined extraction. But why does this matter to the rest of the world? It matters because of what happened once the RSAF's A330 multi-role tanker transports, the MRTTs, actually landed. These aren't just cargo planes. They are flying command centers capable of refueling fighter jets in midair while carrying hundreds of passengers in a pressurized medical-grade cabin. When the first MRTT touched down in Riyadh, the mission was clear: get the Singaporeans out. But once the manifest was clear and the citizens were safe, Singapore did something that fundamentally changed the nature of global diplomacy. They looked at the hundreds of people from neighboring nations who had been left behind by their own governments, people from Australia, Indonesia, the Philippines.
The taxes paid by Singaporeans are the premiums for this policy. They fund the $100 million aircraft, the satellite communication networks, and the elite training of the air crews who fly into the heart of the storm. It is a social contract written in high-tech hardware. When the rest of the world's doors are closed and the airport screens are a sea of red canceled signs, that red passport is the only key that still works. It is the ability to punch through the chaos, to bypass the red tape, and to bring people home when everyone else has given up. As the sun rose over Changi Airport in March 2026 and the weary travelers stepped off those gray military jets, the message was clear. Singapore might be a small island on the map, but its reach is global. It doesn't need a massive army to occupy territory. It needs a massive brain to navigate it. The 2026 Middle East rescue wasn't just a mission, it was a masterclass. It proved that in a world of rising walls and falling blocks, the nations that survive are the ones that can turn data into safety and diplomacy into a shield. For the rest of the world, it was an expensive lesson in the limits of traditional power. For Singapore, it was just another day of proving that being small doesn't mean being weak. It means being faster, smarter, and more committed to your people than anyone else on Earth.
Where most countries would spend their tax revenue as soon as it comes in, Singapore treats its national reserves like a high-performance hedge fund. You've likely heard of GIC and Temasek. These aren't just government departments. They are global investment giants. While the average person thinks Singapore's wealth comes from the port, a massive chunk of their annual budget actually comes from the NIRC, Net Investment Returns Contribution. Think about that for a second. In most countries, the government takes money from the people, taxes, to pay for schools and roads. In Singapore, the government's investments, their shares in global tech, real estate in London, and energy in America, provide a fifth pillar of revenue. This is why they can keep income taxes so low. They aren't just a country, they are a shareholder in the global economy. This investment mindset trickles down to the individual level through the Central Provident Fund, CPF. It's a mandatory savings scheme that forces everyone to save for retirement, healthcare, and housing. It's the reason you don't see the same level of homelessness or elderly poverty that you see in other rich cities like San Francisco or New York. But there is a new challenge on the horizon for 2026 and beyond. As global trade shifts and deglobalization becomes the trend, Singapore is pivoting again. They are doubling down on digital sovereignty. They aren't just building physical ports anymore. They are building data ports.
With the integration of AI into their manufacturing lines and the new 2026 digital safeguards for their citizens, they are ensuring that even if physical trade slows down, the digital Silk Road will still run right through their servers. Singapore's success isn't a fluke of geography, it's a masterclass in future-proofing. They don't wait for a crisis to change, they change while they are still winning. That is the Singapore way. A relentless, almost clinical pursuit of efficiency that values long-term survival over short-term popularity. Whether you're a small nation looking for a blueprint or an investor looking for stability, the lesson is clear. Don't just occupy the space, own the system.